Welcome to TWitWoW, the best for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web. Today, I'm John, that's my co-word and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. Holy fucking shitballs. What an episode tonight. Guys, here's the thing about this, right? In terms of matches, none of the matches were bad tonight, but it was like the two matches were good and the one sandwich between them was fucking excellent. Loved it, adored it. Probably one of my favorite matches this season, if I'm honest. What really made this episode, and we say it time and time again on this podcast, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's the truth and you should never stop speaking the truth. Narratively, this show is next level. We got two cinematics. I mean, more than that in general, but specifically here, I want to talk about two cinematics we got. To my fucking mind, and that show that Lucha Underground, they're going for the big game. There is a huge angle developing here that, honestly, it may be a crude parallel, but I get huge Infinity War vibes from this angle because it just seems like the end cometh for everybody. The cinematics tonight were on point. My mouth is still agape. I don't even know what to fucking do with myself except exclaim from the rooftops. But don't take my word for it, because you know on this podcast it takes two to tango. So my core and commentary here, what did you think about tonight's episode?
This was one of the most fun episodes of Lucha Underground I've ever seen, and that speaks volumes because I think that you and I would both agree that their season one was the stuff of magic. But still, yes, this episode was above and beyond. We had, like you said, one excellent match and two really fun matches outside of that. We had a shock value moment with Pentagon breaking his first female's arm. We had two amazing cinematics, and we even had a little bit of that light comedy side with the Rabbit Tribe, and then we even had a little more comedy with the Worldwide Underground and Benji and another cinematic. So at the end of the day, guys, if Lucha Underground is a show that you like but don't watch every week, or if Lucha Underground is a show that you've heard of but don't know about yet, but don't really watch yet, you're making the gravest mistake of your life as a wrestling fan, because this show, I mean, we even just had someone say in chat that Lucha Underground is the Game of Thrones of pro wrestling. And honestly, I would argue that it's better. I'm sure John might have something different to say, but to me, Lucha Underground as a television show is on par with shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Breaking Bad, like Game of Thrones, etc., etc. It's up there. We're not just talking for a wrestling show. We're talking for a television show, period. This show is top notch.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about a show, to me, that's just going out every week, and whether it's with the matches or the cinematics that I know you and I especially love, they're just going out there and they're raising the bar. You know, it's funny because we've been referencing TV shows. Mr. Robot put out their first season 3 teaser.
Oh yeah, and that's another one that I put in that category too, right up there with Lucha and Game of Thrones and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, yeah, Mr. Robot's up there as well.
Yeah, and I watched it and I'm like, man, this is so brilliant. This is so well put together. What could top this? And then Lucha taps me on the shoulder and it's like, hey, hold my beer. And then they do this tonight. And I'm just like, here's the thing. We all think about the big angles in wrestling, right? Hogan turning heel, the invasion angle, which I know gets bemoaned by so many. This is Lucha Underground's big kahuna to me. What they did tonight, and really what they've been doing ever since season 1. But you're getting big progressions now. I'm not saying the storyline is imminent. They could still drag it out, 2 or 3 more seasons even. But we're getting bigger revelations here. This is their ultimate angle, the centerpiece of what the temple is all about. And they have got me hooked. Man, they have got me hooked deep. If I keep talking, it's just going to be redundant, but I could just do nothing but praise this show for the next 2 hours. Do you have any other preliminary remarks you want to make before we formally get into the show?
Oh, I do want to point out that we've been kind of wrong about the whole, first female arm break thing. Remember, Pentagon did break Black Lotus's arm.
That's right. I still say, though, this is more significant because Brenda isn't even a competitor, and Black Lotus, very loosely a competitor, but still more so than Brenda. So, yeah. Oh, man. So, anything else you want to say?
And yeah, that's the other thing, too, is he also broke the arms of Doku and Yurei from the Black Lotus Triad. So she's not his first, but it still feels different because she wasn't trying to actively beat him up or anything.
Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, even though I know she's not in that sense because she is formally employed, she might as well have been an audience member. That's the level I put her at, which is why to me it was so resonant. Wow, somebody that really, in all honesty, could not defend themselves on any level, and he broke her arm. But yeah, partner, do you have anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. I think I'm about ready to get into this whole thing.
All right, then let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
Well, we open this baby up, I believe, with our first match of the night, the trios match between the Rabbit Tribe and Worldwide Underground, represented by Taya, PJ, and Ricky.
What did you think of this match?
I do want to point out, apparently, the sign that Jack Evans brought to the ring, it was a pin and then a sun, which was representative of a day, and then someone raking a garden, which was representative of a hoe, and it was supposed to be pendejo.
Oh, equals the believers, so he was calling the believers pendejos. That's brilliant. Yeah. I love Jack Evans, man. Thoughts on this match?
This match was fun. It was definitely I guess I could say the least interesting match of the three that we got tonight. And really, it was still fun. It was still solid. I'm not complaining about it. But when you see what happened in that second match, that was so amazing. And then when you kind of see the flow and the story that went into the third match, this was the least interesting match tonight, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I am just itching to talk about the cinematics and the big fight between Mill and Jeremiah. I'm not even going to do my usual monologuing about Ricky Mandel because I already did that plenty in live reactions. This match was fine. I feel like the Rabbit Tribe really showed up. They understand the gimmick so well. They did a great ring around the Rosie spot with Ricky Mandel, leaving him all confused. And then they all wanted to take Taya's knees in the corner, and she finally does it to Paul London, but what I liked about it, whether it was intentional or not, she goes to pin him, and because those other two guys wanted to partake, they were right there to defend. So it's they're pervy, but there's also a shrewdness that's kind of undercutting that perviness. And yeah, they ultimately get the win because, they take out Mala Suerte and Saltador do, PJ Black and Taya, and then Paul London's able to get the shooting star on Ricky Mandel, and that secures him the 3 count. So... Yep. Rabbit Tribe win the medallions, and they're the first 3 people in Gift of the Gods. And what I like about this is the final note I want to make. If you're Masquerita, you've probably got a headache right about now because you sent that rabbit's foot to kind of traumatize those guys, and yet they brought it to the ring with them, and it brought them so much good luck. They're in Gift of the Gods. So if anything, they worship Masquerita more now when he wanted to get them off their case.
He gifted them the actual luck that they needed in order to win that match and become contenders for the Gift of the God Championship. What a generous God.
Exactly. And that's exactly how they're going to perceive it. Masquerita is just going to be like, oh my God, what do I have to do to get these guys away from me already? So yeah, great stuff.
Oh man, that was funny. But hey, I mean, that, like we said, that was only our first match of the night, first segment of the night. Next up, because of the big loss that Taya, Ricky, and PJ took here, we saw backstage, they were kind of getting chewed out by Johnny Mundo and Benji. And they were talking about how, Benji could cut people from Worldwide Underground and Johnny Mundo was unhappy. And, and then Johnny was just like, I've got all these offers for movies and other fight clubs and all this other stuff. But what I really want more than anything is just to stay World Heavyweight Champion of Lucha Underground, and further failure will not be tolerated.
Yeah, I mean, great cinematic. It shows that Johnny's all about himself. You could almost even feel sympathetic for Taya, PJ, and because, you know, he's like, all I want to do is stay Lucha Underground champion. And then Taya pipes up, well, that's all we want too. And I'm like, oh, what a dedicated fiance. She's so wonderful. But yeah, Johnny's like all about himself. He's like, you guys better shape up. I agree with him in every way. It's just Taya and PJ are already perfect. You can't improve upon perfection. See the cancer. The group is malignant. Cut out the tumor that is Ricky Mandel. And that's all I'm going to say. Because, again, there are more pertinent things to talk about tonight. But, yeah, definitely a very, very fun cinematic that just furthers the tension of Worldwide Underground in a more comedic way. So, definitely appreciated it.
Absolutely. So then we got into our second match of the night, which was the match of the night by far. And there are actually a lot of people saying that this is the best match of the second half of Season 3 so far. I definitely don't necessarily agree with that because, you know, Dante versus, I believe it was Azteca or Havoc or something like that. I think Dante versus Azteca, plus we did get Dante versus Havoc, plus, I mean, Killshot versus Jeremiah. You know, there's just been a lot of great matches during the second half of this season, and this is definitely one of them, but I don't know if I would put it at number one so far.
Yeah, this was just fantastic, though. Like, I could definitely understand a spirited debate because Lucha Underground has so many great matches, even from this season. But I just love that it was a nonstop fight. And you know, honestly, I love that neither guy got bitched out here. Because, I mean, Ashton, Mil Muertes is your number one guy, so you're the best guy to ask. How many people do we see that, like, egg on Mil Muertes or antagonize him, and they utterly, like, get destroyed? Because, I mean, sure, some guys can hold a fight, but more often than not, I feel like it's just obliteration. Don't you ever fucking mess with me again, and whatever. And what I really liked here was that Jeremiah really was holding his own, really was taking that everything Mil had to dish out. And I think this was the kind of match that his character needed to kind of seal the deal. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Jeremiah is that we've seen him dish out a lot of offense so far this season, but what we really haven't seen is him take this kind of massive beating and keep swinging.
Exactly. And that's what I loved about this match. Before I go any further, though, I mean, are there any highlights that you wanted to point out that you liked?
You know, for me, the biggest parts of this involved the crowd. Like the one moment when Mil tried to clear the crowd and one guy just wasn't moving and he ended up getting a Jeremiah Crane leg to the face.
Yeah, that was great.
And then the other moment where Jeremiah sat Mil down on a chair and literally just hawked a loogie onto his own hand to chop Mil and then went for Around the World and got met with a Reaper's Trident from hell.
Yeah, that was devastating. Want to give some praise to Mil here. Once again, proving that he's the consummate pro and he knows how to recover like nobody's business. Because that old table spot where he wanted to spear Jeremiah through, but the table didn't break. He just picks him up.
The table, yeah, that was so good. And then he pulled out the freaking power bomb that he basically used to murder King Cuerno.
Exactly. And what works about it is it doesn't even feel like a forced recovery from a botched spot. Like, it just flows seamlessly with, yeah, these guys have been killing each other, so why would Mil stop? Or why wouldn't Mil do this? So, like, it really worked in their favor. I love the toughness Crane showed in this. In fact, because you know my new favorite series that we do, and it'll only be the second installment, you know, the week after SummerSlam, our 5 Fave 5. I love it because, you know, we're constantly reevaluating. We're constantly, you know, organizing and arranging and all that stuff. And I'm watching this match, and I'm thinking, you know what? Like, it's been a long time since I could say I was really into any of Sami Callihan's stuff. But him as Jeremiah Crane in the Temple, like, this match really clicked for me. And I'm like, he might just break onto it. Maybe not this cycle, but at best, if he keeps this up, the third installment, he may definitely have a place for sure. Because I love the toughness he showed. I loved how, and I mean this as a compliment, honest. I know it's not going to sound like that. I love how disgusting he is, but he just owns it. Like, when he spit on his hand and you could see the spit come down the hand, I'm like, oh, God. But he owns it. He embraces it. And I love this dynamic, Mil and Katrina. And here I thought Katrina's night was going to be over after this. Boy, were we sorely mistaken in the best possible way. But we'll get to that. But yeah, this match was fantastic. It ends with Jeremiah making the classic mistake of, oh, I tried everything, so I might as well try something I never usually do. Go to the top rope. he gets caught and Mill does a jumping flatliner, which I love that little touch. Again, Mill just being a next level competitor.
He's so good, man. I freaking like Mill is the last of a dying breed, man. Like, I know that that's funny because it like used to be like the Bull Dempsey line, but he really is. He's like, there is just something different about him. Like, he really does feel like one of those old school workers where he could have, you know, he could work the same freaking building 5 or 6 nights a week, multiple times in one night, and never have the same match twice, even though he's working the same guy every time, because he just knows how to do it. Like, he's just that consummate pro, man. He's just amazing. I freaking love Mill. Like, the fact that he was wasted in TNA as Judas Messias is one of the biggest travesties in the U.S. wrestling history, in my opinion.
Yeah, because, I mean, dude, here's my thing. What I was getting ready to praise Mill for, because, you know, I often say with certain competitors, it's about the little things that they do that catch my eye. I love that he felt the need to add the jumping little variation of the flatliner because he wanted to get the maximum force possible because, one, he wanted revenge for how Jeremiah screwed with them, and two, you could also interpret it after the war that they had, like, no, I've got to get maximum force because that's the only thing that's going to put this guy down. So yeah. I loved it on both levels. Again, Mill just gets it, man. And I know you've been saying that for the longest time, and kudos to you. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm jumping the bandwagon, but to me,
no, like, dude, honestly, yeah. And even if you wanted to, there's plenty of room for you. Just jump on.
Yeah, I had to praise him for his veteran instinct and just how the guy knows not only to put a match together, but to salvage it if it seems like it's going south, and just adding those little sprinklings to take it to that extra level. Because to me, even though he lost, Jeremiah got made in this match. Like, he needed this match to me. Because it's not like he was bad before or anything. Like, he was doing fine, but you don't want to just do fine in Lucha Underground. You want to be the guy that people talk about with all the crazy gimmicks in this goddamn temple. Because you're competing with a dragon, a time traveler, and so on and so forth. Yeah. I think Jeremiah needed this match. I think Mill gave him the match that he needed. And Mill, man, I'll tell you, put him in every wrestling Hall of Fame because he fucking deserves it. You know, this guy's so good. He gets the win. Night's not over here, though, because Katrina goes to do the Link of Death, but Jeremiah is already recovering slightly from the jumping flatliner, again showing how tough this son of a bitch is. He's pulling himself up, you know, using Mill's pants, or at least trying to. Then he turns to Katrina. Katrina raises his head, gives him the kiss of death, but he kisses right back with a smile on his face, and then Mill just boots him in the head and flatliners him again. So what did you think about this this aftermath here between these guys?
I'm definitely thinking Mill is going to have a little something to say to Katrina in the next time we see them backstage, because I don't think he expected Jeremiah to kiss back, and I don't think he expected Katrina to let him.
And here's the thing too, bro. Given what we know, like at the end of the show, which we'll tie all together when we get to it, that this was the worst possible time for that to happen, because you need the monster under control for what you're going to need him to do. And he may be a little reluctant about that. Not saying he won't do it, but I think there's going to be a lot of conflict and a lot of tension getting him to do it. So, yeah, that relationship, I definitely think it took a blow tonight, because Mill's probably thinking, well, what the fuck is this? And he doesn't even know the half of it, dude. That's the thing.
I know. Yeah. I know, it's hilarious.
Am I the only one? Like, I know usually, you know, Johnny Scumbag, I'm the first one to jump at the chance, but, like, am I the only one that feels kind of bad for Mil Muertes? Because, like, he already thinks this shit's bad enough. If he knew the whole truth, I mean, oh my God, right? So,
you mean the truth that they used to date, I guess?
Well, I mean, no, not just that. I mean, that her true love is Phoenix. Like, if he knew the whole truth how Katrina felt.
Yeah,
like,
that would crush him for sure.
And I mean, he can blame him. Yeah, dude. I mean, he really would be. He really would revert back to just that child, that scared child of Pascual Mendoza to me, because like Katrina is his anchor in my eyes. So to see that anchor is just getting, you know, kind of pulled up. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Again, in the context of what else was revealed, which I can't wait to talk about. But we're going to do that by moving on. Unless you had anything else you want to say about all this.
You know, it's actually kind of funny because I just saw in chat, I think it was Hypothesis, say Jeremiah Crane really is a Dean Ambrose type character done right. And I just find that so funny that he would say that, because Dean and Sammy, aka Jeremiah, used to be a tag team in CZW, I believe.
Oh wow.
Or no,
That
it
really
wasn't
is funny.
CZW. It was WXW. It was West Side Extreme Wrestling. Yeah, he and
Oh,
Sammy and Dean used to be tag team partners with each other. They like that's where a lot of Dean's crazy promo work that kind of got him noticed by WWE, that we all like point to, like, oh wow, he used to be this amazing promo. That's where a lot of that material came from, was his tag team with Sammy.
wow. Did not know that.
Yep.
Very interesting, though. So, what came after this?
After the second match here between Mill and Jeremiah, we had the big Dario's office segment with Cueto and the FBI, the new FBI agent. Apparently, his name is FBI Agent Winter. I didn't hear him say that, but that's apparently what his name is. And he tells Dario that Councilman Delgado's he is Councilman Delgado's replacement from the Order. Now, I think this is the first time we're hearing about the Order, but it might not be. I'm not sure. But it's still interesting that that's a thing. And then he informs Dario that Cage killed Delgado and that he's a big fan of Pentagon Dark. And then there was this creepy ass line where it's almost like he went into a trance, and he said that his flesh will fly or fry, something like that, when the war comes. So this whole segment was just amazing to witness. And I love that they brought in Godfrey to play FBI Agent Winter. And like his whole, like, the moment where he stops talking in like this like cryptic, like, oh, this shit's gonna hit the fan, like the war's coming and stuff like that, and he's just like, I'm a really big fan of what you've been doing with Lucha Underground. I am such a huge fan of Pentagon Dark. And then Cueto's just like, yeah, who isn't? That was such a cool moment. But anyway, yeah, now that I've kind of gotten my stuff out of the way, John, I want you to let everyone know what you thought about this segment, because I know you love this.
Before I revel in it, partner, I just want to give Cliff his shout out for the $2 super chat. The tag name between Dean and Sami Callihan was the Switchblade Conspiracy. So That was the tag team they were. That sounds fucking awesome. Like this cinematic. Dude, what I love about this Winter character, he establishes himself immediately. Because not only in the most direct sense of, I'm Delgado's replacement, like, that's fine enough. But like when he says, oh, I'm such a huge fan of Pentagon Dark, too bad his flesh will fry when the war comes. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I felt my pulse just stop. Holy fuck.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I've heard some ominous fucking shit. And like we make jokes watching you, oh, we never want to cross Suzuki in a dark alley, or we never want to screw with Ishii, both of which are true statements. That doesn't change. But if a guy that I thought was normal, I'm having a drink with, like, how was your day at the Forest? Oh, it was good. Hey, you got the game on, man. I love this team. And then he just looked at me out of nowhere and it's like, yeah, football's great. Too bad it won't matter, though, once we're all burning to our deaths. I would just kind of look nervously at my watch and be like, can I leave? Is it too awkward to leave? No, I'm going to leave. And then just slowly backpedal. Like, this creeped me the fuck out. And I love that Lucha Underground has creepy characters on a spectrum, because you've got Marty, who really is certifiable, but what makes Winter so chilling is like, and I've often heard this comparison from one of John's famous crude parallels, but the Terminator in T2 that chases after Schwarzenegger, where he could take the form of like a cop or whatever. If you can blend into everyday society as part of the Order, and this guy's a cop, FBI, shit like that, that is horrifying to me. Because anybody else, he'll be the first guy they go to, right, for help. Oh, help me, officer, we're in crisis. We are the crisis. What? Yeah. No! I'm like,
oh, no.
That's what I love about this. That's what I love about Lucha Underground having this spectrum of insanity, because Marty's never going to blend in anywhere. He could try, but he would out himself in the first 5 to 10 minutes. But Winter has like this sociopathic quality. He'll go to the galas for the FBI, he'll do the fundraisers. He'll do the photo ops. He'll do his job, and he'll do it effectively. But all the while, he's probably looking at people thinking, yeah, I bet you burn real nice. Like, sick fuck. And he doesn't even care that Delgado's dead. It's like, oh, it's fine. This is what happens when gods are, getting used to the body that they've inhabited. It's all part of the transformation process. And they're talking about it like they're talking about tea time on the green. Like, oh, let's go play some golf. I loved everything about this because of how normal they treated it. And it's not normal at all. But it is in the context of the Luchaverse, again, where you have dragons and queens and time travelers and just everything else. It's amazing, dude. And this Winter character, in just one scene alone, has become a guy I want to see so much more of. And this is a pretty extended cinematic. They didn't rush it. It's just, I'm always going to be left wanting more with characters like that. He played his part to perfection. And this is one of my favorite cinematics in Lucha Underground of the season, which is saying something because we had a contender in the same fucking episode. So is there anything else you want to add, or can we move on?
Let's move on. Up next, we've got a match, our third and final match of the night, our main event of the evening, Pentagon Dark versus Tejano. I got to tell you, this match was shorter than I expected it to be. This ended up only being like 7 or 8 minutes. And it ended because Famous B was trying to help Tejano and ended up sliding a horseshoe in, but unintentionally, despite, I believe, trying to get it to Tejano, overshot it and slid it all the way over so the Pentagon could get it. And then while Brenda was distracting Marty Elias, Pentagon used the horseshoe and punched the hell out of Tejano and then pinned him for the win.
Yeah, so Pentagon wins. Pentagon advances. Famous B's kind of freaking out because that's another plan that's gone south. And yeah, Pentagon advances in the Cueto Cup. He's going to face Mil Muertes. And honestly, I thought the match was fine. Nothing too noteworthy. Pentagon was super over with the audience. Really, the only noteworthy thing came from the post-match. But I mean, before I jump the gun here, of course, I want to field your opinion. What did you think about this match?
The match was fine. I already kind of gave my thoughts on it in that I just felt like it was a little bit on the too short side, and it wasn't much. It was, like I said, 7 or 8 minutes. Obviously very physical just because of the two guys that were in it, but I don't think we even got like the Pentagon, let me chop this guy and make the loudest noise you've heard since the last time you were at a shooting range kind of spot. We didn't have that. We didn't have with the 3-up, 3-down driver. We didn't have the crazy like pump handle driver that Pentagon does. Really, it was a match that just felt like it was cut short, and I'm glad it was, because at the end of the day, it got Tejano out of the Cueto Cup. It progressed this whole storyline with Tejano, Famous B, and Brenda, because in a roundabout way, they did take a pair of bullets for Tejano to prevent Tejano from getting his arm broken. And it also gave us a little extra time so that we could get this amazing cinematic to close the show out.
It's amazing what circumstance and environment can do, because I'll tell you, if a similar situation happened on Raw, this would probably be a heat of the night for me. Like, you've got two guys, even though I'm not the biggest Tejano fan, we've seen when he has extended matches, like, he can show up and he can be a fun part of the match, and, he can carry his weight. And with Pentagon, it goes without saying, especially because if this happened on, say, like a Raw, when it's 3 hours, one, I'm thinking, what, you couldn't spare the time? And two, like, any promos or segments they have don't even come close to touching this shit for me personally. So, with that, I would be just fuming. With Lucha Underground, when you only have an hour of television, and again, your bread and butter is the cinematics, the idea that this match was so short and they were still able to give us a satisfying post-match along with those two incredible cinematics tonight shows me that Lucha Underground has their priorities straight, and I love them for it. Yes. So he's about to break Tejano's arm. Famous B essentially begs, no, that's my future client. You can't. Please don't do this. Back up. Get on out of here. And Pentagon looks like
he was trying to shoo Pentagon like a damn dog.
Exactly. And then it seems like Pentagon's going to capitulate, and Famous B's just bragging like, ha, see? And then he turns around to a super kick because, why would you turn your back on Pentagon? And Pentagon breaks Famous B's arm, And then Brenda comes in to try and console him, like, oh no, my Pim Daddy, no! And then Pentagon throws her down. And then I'm thinking, oh, well, Thanos going to save her because he was pretty smitten with her. But then, oh, he took a horseshoe to the face, so it's night-night Thanos. Brenda gets her arm broken, and she does her cry face, which is amazing because, yeah, that was just really brutal to watch. So that's 2 more sacrifices for Pentagon Dark. I'll be curious to see how them having their arms broken and Tejano being cost the Cueto Cup, like how all these elements are going to converge. Like, oh, hey, we got our arms broken for you. You owe us. And then Tejano's probably going to be like, well, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have lost. You cost me that. You got what you deserved. You know, that sort of thing. But in the meantime, I got nothing else to say about this. So unless you do, we can move on to the big kahuna, the final cinematic of the night.
Well, you know, I'm trying to think of anything else that I might. Oh, you know what? I do want to say one more thing. I can't wait for the Brian Alvarez bitch fest about Lucha Underground's top face breaking the arm of a woman because he bitched about it so much when the Pentagon, like, I'm not even joking when I tell you Brian Alvarez thought that the Pentagon versus Black Lotus Triad episode of Lucha Underground was the worst episode they've ever done because of the male-on-female violence. He is the worst. And this, the fact that Pentagon broke the arm of like a random, innocent, defenseless bystander who was also a female, yeah, Alvarez is going to be so butthurt, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I can't wait to drink those tears. The funniest thing, too,
is this jackass tries to talk about how they just don't know what they're doing, as if his opinion of them not being good is absolute objective fact. When at the end of the day, you and I freaking love it, and a lot of Lucha Underground fans freaking love it. So maybe Alvarez should consider, just think about eating a dick.
Well, to me, Alvarez, I mean, since we're already piling it on, I feel no shame in saying this. Alvarez kind of exposes himself to me because I wasn't even aware that he said any of this, but he exposes himself to me as just a sexist piece of shit. Like, oh, why would you have the females doing that? Because they can, because they're capable, because they show up to work and they want to do this shit. What would you prefer, Alvarez? They do bra and panties matches, or maybe a good old-fashioned pillow fight, because that's the epitome of violence. Fuck off. Regardless, putting that piece of trash aside, I want to talk about something that's the antithesis of trash, and if you're ready to move on, we can, to this final cinematic. You ready for this, partner?
Yep.
All right, well, Captain Vasquez is in her office, and, you know, one of the officers comes in and says, oh, you know, someone's here to see you. You know, who is it? Calls herself Katrina, no last name. Send her in. So the one half of the medallion and the other half of the medallion, or maybe it'd be better to call it a necklace, you know, show up here. They meet face-to-face, Katrina and Vasquez, and it gets heavy from there. And Ashton, I'll let you take the floor because I definitely want your thoughts on all this first. So lay the scene for us and then give us your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I mean, we see Captain Vasquez at her desk, and some random guy, I guess, that works at the station that she's the captain of, comes in and says, hey, there's someone here to see you. She says her name's Katrina, and she didn't give a last name. And, yeah, she was like, all right, let her in. And as he goes to close the door, we see Katrina teleport into the room. So he didn't need to let her in. She just got in there on her own. And she's just like, all right, what did you want? And Vasquez tells her that the gods are coming. They are starting to take over, and one of them is currently in the process of possessing Cage, and she doesn't want that to happen. And then Katrina's just like, well, that's not my problem. And Vasquez says, well, here's the thing. I need that gauntlet, and the only man in that temple that can take it from Cage happens to answer to you. And Katrina's just like, all right, well, you know what, though? I don't need this. I don't have to do this. And she says about how, you know, I gave you life. And she holds up her side of the pendant. And she says, I gave you life. And Katrina's just like, this isn't life. I'm stuck between two worlds, traveling like a freaking ghost. And then she holds up her side of the pendant. And then we get this big moment where Vasquez kind of says, like, I'll give you this half when you give me Cage's gauntlet. And then Katrina's just like, well, aren't you aware that if you give me that, you won't have any of it and you'll die? And she's just like, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of the gods. And then Katrina says, well, the gods are about to fear death. 1,000 of them. And then what, John?
She teleports out, and that's it.
Well, no, come on, she says
Oh, that's right. Sorry, because I'm so used to her teleporting out. She refers to Vasquez as mother, which you initially missed, which was hilarious because you had a delayed reaction, and I'm like, you heard her say mother, and then you were like, what? It was gold. So, yeah, Katrina refers to Vasquez as mother. I mean, where the fuck do you even start with any of this? I mean, partner, I'm going to ask you here, what did you think about all this, and what was going through your mind?
I mean, I didn't hear it the first time I heard it, or the first time she said it. And when you said that she said it, I was like, oh my God, there's no freaking way. And yeah, man, like the fact that we know now that these two are related, and it's not just a relation, she's literally, Vasquez gave life to Katrina, not just in like the hypothetical sense in that she gave her half of the medallion. She literally birthed her.
Yeah, which, I mean, to me, a question that didn't even run through my mind at the time, which is why I love that we do reviews after this, because it gives more time to marinate. Who's the father? Like, who is this woman's father? Like,
watch it be Dario.
Jesus Christ.
Katrina truly is a hellspawn, born of Captain Vasquez and Dario Cueto.
Oh my God. Or hell, we talk about the Cuetos. Maybe it was Cueto's father. I mean, who knows what other sick shit.
Oh God, that would be even worse. I mean, really, Cueto's father would be even worse because he's even more of a scumbag than Dario. He sacrificed his own son to the gods.
I mean, means and ends, minor details, I guess. But regardless, yeah, dude, like, I was so fixated on the whole mother thing, but I even said at the start of the episode tonight that, to me, this just has such strong Infinity Wars vibes to me, because it just seems like this huge cataclysmic event. And here's the thing about it, too. None of this is hyperbole, because Lucha Underground has established death on the show with Cisco, Bale, and there have been people that they use as like missing, like Alberto El Patron and Big Rick. So like Lucha Underground is not afraid to go there, is my point. So you know that them talking about a storyline of these gods coming to Earth and wanting to rule again and these sacrifices and everything. Like when I say Infinity Wars-esque, I mean in the sense that both when Infinity Wars comes out and whenever this storyline really starts to pick up in terms of the violence, the body counts are going to be massive to me. Like, hell, Winter even hinted as much when he says, I'm a huge Pentagon fan. It's a shame his flesh will fry when war comes. So Lucha Underground saying, oh yeah, we will go there. If you have people you like, you better hope that they've been nice to us at contract negotiations or whatever, because we have plenty of ways to kill them off. Trust me. And yeah, dude, it's just nuts to me. Like, honestly, and I didn't even think about this, but in war, nobody's safe. So even as a Johnny Mundo fan, for as much of a mark as I am for him in Worldwide Underground, I'm worried about them first and foremost. Because unlike Aerostar and Drago, they have no unique abilities. They're just really competent fighters, like, just like a pack of Liu Kangs or Johnny Cages. And even Liu Kang could transform into a dragon. But like they could very easily die first. And who even knows? But then I'm just going to slow it down a bit because I'm going to go from the grand to the more microcosmic. We know that Mill is going to be sicked on Cage. My question to you is, do you think he can get the job done or not?
I really hope so, because there's nothing more I want in this world than Mil Muertes with a god.
Oh, gee. Does he even need that kind of power? God
damn. Does it matter? Is there a limit on how much power someone's allowed to have? No.
I mean, I don't know, but you're starting to sound a little bit like me there. Mill gets...
What's wrong with that? Don't lie. Don't even act like if Johnny Mundo had the opportunity to be manifested by a god that you wouldn't be excited.
I mean, you can't manifest into something you already are, but that's neither here nor there.
I knew you were going to say that, but still, like, the idea of Mill getting that gauntlet and taking that power from Cage is enticing.
It is, but, like, he's death, though. So death combined with the power of a god. Like,
I know, but still, like, I mean, here's the thing, though. Honestly, I do think it would be really, really even more interesting than if Mill got the gauntlet, if they got the gauntlet from Cage and gave it to Vasquez, and then Vasquez gave them the other half of the pendant to Katrina, so Katrina was allowed to escape this, like, purgatory that she's in, and was actually allowed to try to woo the man of her freaking dreams, Phoenix. That would be very interesting, and especially if Phoenix was still with Melissa when that happened.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, we have a lot of history, so it's been fun, Melissa, but vamos. Yeah, honestly, and another thing, I'm glad you mentioned Vasquez again, because another thing the cinematic did for me was get her back in my good graces in a way, because remember on last week's Lucha Underground TWitWoW, I mentioned how ambiguous she seemed to be morally. Yeah, an agenda. But to know that she'd be willing to sacrifice her immortality and be vulnerable to the pending attacks just so that she could try and stop it, or at the very least minimize the damage if there is no stopping it, that says to me, you know what, Vasquez, even if your methods are questionable at times, I understand that the stakes are really, they couldn't be any higher. So you have to cut corners, when you're actually talking about human existence on a wide scale. Yeah. And knowing that she'd be willing to make that kind of sacrifice, like, she's probably the best Technico in Lucha Underground that isn't an active competitor. So kudos to you, Vasquez. But yeah, to answer my own question, see, you do pose an intriguing possibility of them actually succeeding. Vasquez getting the gauntlet, because I'll tell you what I think Vasquez would try and do. I think she'd try and destroy it. I think she'd try and find a way to make sure that nobody could ever get their hands on that gauntlet ever again. Maybe failing in doing so, maybe in succeeding, that remains to be seen if it even happens. But yeah, the idea that Katrina could get her wish, she could stop being between the two realms and be able to pick the realm of life. And yeah, she'd be vulnerable. Yeah, she'd be prone to death. And here's the thing too. And again, I only go this dark because Lucha Underground has shown me in its own way that it's willing to go this dark. I could see Katrina's story ending in tragedy because she could do all this, right? She could get in the realm of the living, and then she could be with Phoenix. Mill would see it, and because Katrina would lose everything about her because she's mortal again, I could see Mill killing her, and she wouldn't be able to protect herself.
No. Katrina would still be immortal.
Oh, she would?
Well, if she has the whole pendant, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So I guess she would be immortal, but she'd also be like an actual, like, full-bodied being, right? She wouldn't be like this ephemeral kind of apparition.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, maybe it won't end in tragedy for her. I still, it's still, maybe it won't have tragedy in that way because I misunderstood and I apologize, but it can end squeaky clean for her, right? Because, like, Mill's got to find out eventually that he's been getting played. And I don't know, man. Because that's the thing about the Luchaverse is there are new rules all the time. There are new revelations all the time. And there's just something very Monkey Paws-esque about this. Like, oh, I finally get what I want, but when's the other shoe going to drop? And I think when it drops, it's going to have just the thunder of, like, this 2-ton anvil or something just shattering the ground. Right. So I don't know, man. Like, all I know is that this cinematic and the Winter cinematic were reminders of why I fell in love with Lucha Underground in the first place, because this is them at their absolute best. And yeah, this episode's going to go down as one of my favorites. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to ask you, or if there's anything else we should talk about. I mean, here's the thing, bro. If Vasquez gets the gauntlet back, do you agree with me that you think, like, she'd try and destroy it? Or do you think she'd try and entrust it to somebody that maybe their power could put an end to this whole thing? Like, what do you think she wants to do with it when she gets it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know, man. That's a tough call. You would think she would just want to use it, like, use it for herself, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's possible. But again, like, if she doesn't fear death, that she's willing to make the concessions that she already has, some concessions coming from herself, other concessions being the lives of others. Poor Veneno, poor Cortez Castro. I don't know, because, like, part of me thinks that she wouldn't even want to take the chance of trying to employ it even for her own ends. But then another part of me thinks, well, she's already gone so far. What's really stopping her realistically from going a little further? And yeah, I don't know. Is there anything? Now, let me just ask you this, just so you can kind of get the final word on everything. Are there any questions or thoughts that popped into your mind watching this that maybe we haven't touched on yet that you want to touch on? Because I think all my brain vomit has successfully left. So, and I don't want to get redundant. So, are there any new angles or perspectives or thoughts that you want to share? Or do you think we've covered all the ground that we can here?
It's just one of those weird situations, man, where I'm very excited about the revelation that we got tonight about Katrina and Captain Vasquez being daughter and mother. But like, as far as what goes down in the future, I'm in the mode now where I just want to sit back and watch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, you can only speculate so much. And to me, speculation's fine and all, but we're going to get our answers eventually. And that's what really matters. Like, that's what we're here for. And I can't wait to see, like, what Katrina, and again, I could see an argument ensuing. Katrina may really have to try and persuade Mill, because Mill's mind's going to be on, why was Jeremiah kissing Katrina? What's going on with them? And Katrina's really going to need Mill's cooperation now more than ever, because here's the thing. I've always said that Katrina was in charge of the relationship, and that hasn't changed. You know, she still is. But I feel like now she's really got a personal investment for the first time. If before it was more egocentric, or we want more power, or we want more violence, these are sentimental stakes for her, because we're talking about her life and her literally changing her life. So we may see a new demeanor from Katrina. I don't know. I think we're going to definitely see some character growth from everybody involved, and that's also a very exciting prospect to me, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, man, like, tonight's episode just blew me away, especially that final revelation. It's huge. But yeah, man, I'm just excited now. It's another, we're kind of back in that mode with Lucha Underground, where as soon as one episode ends, the wait for the next episode starts being painful.
Exactly. Because the way, just calling Vasquez mother, which I want to send up, that's another thing. When we talk about my Lucha fantasy world where all my requests are satisfied, I want a cinematic that's a heavily detailed backstory of that mother-daughter relationship.
Or a new comic series that involves them.
Yes. Give us a comic book issue dedicated to this. I will read the shit out of it. I will beat people with it if it means they will read it. Oh my God.
We will make a video dissecting it like we did the first 4.
Oh, absolutely. You fucking know it. Like, God damn, Lucha's so good. But yeah, guys, I have nothing else to say. So, Ashton, if you don't, painfully, we move on to our next segment. And we still have to wait so long until next week. But yeah, I've got nothing else to say, man. Do you?
Next segment.
High spots and low shots. You know what? My low shot, I'm going to say, is Tejano. Because not only did he lose the Cueto Cup because of Famous B and Brenda, but you know now that he's going to be heckled by them to join them, and they're going to be like, oh, we gave up our arms for you. So Tejano's problem's got a hell of a lot worse, and he won't even have an Ultimate Lucha Trace main event to show for it. So Tejano is my low shot.
Makes sense to me. My low shot is going to be Worldwide Underground because they lost to the freaking Rabbit Tribe. And I can't just make Ricky Mandel my low shot because even though he ate the pin, the other 2 people were still in that match, could have done more to prevent him from eating the pin, and have to suffer because of something he did.
Kind of sounded a little bit like Benji there right now. But anyway, I guess...
I like Benji, so that's okay. You didn't insult me by saying that.
I mean, I'm just saying it's very funny to me that we're just not all blaming Ricky Mandel. See, this is how the cancer goes by untreated. But
no, I think Ricky Mandel is absolutely the biggest problem. But I just expected Taya and PJ's awesomeness to be able to overcome his lack of awesomeness, and apparently they couldn't.
Well, nonetheless, I can see the merit in your low shot, so I begrudgingly respect it.
Is there ever going to come a time when you're willing to make them your low shot? Probably not.
Never.
It'll always be someone else's fault.
Exactly. You know what? My high spot, I'm in such a good mood after this episode. My high spot's Captain Vasquez. Because what a way to dangle the carrot under Katrina's nose and get her to use her enforcer to get your work done. She wants the gauntlet, and Captain Vasquez is utilizing all of her resources from Veneno to Mil Muertes. So Captain Vasquez, you know what? Even though she didn't achieve any major victories, she dropped a bombshell on us tonight that's still reverberating as far as I'm concerned. And she's making moves, and we'll have to see if they're successful or not. And if they are, she'll probably be my high spot, a second time. But for now, just the idea that she's so crafty as to get as many resources as possible because she knows the stakes she's fighting for, she's my high spot tonight.
I can dig that, brother. I can dig that. The only reason that I'm going to give my high spot to who I'm giving it to is because I'm trying to think of all of the options that I have that could be my high spot. And I don't necessarily want to give my high spot to the Rabbit Tribe because they won, but at the same time, the guy that gave them the lucky rabbit's foot that they won because of still doesn't like them, is going to reject them trying to worship him again. So it's still all for naught, although they did get into the Gift of the Gods, which is cool, but still, I'm not going to give it to them. Also not going to give my high spot to Pentagon because he won, but it was Tejano and he won because of help from other people, and he took 2 arms from people, one of which he's taken before, the other of which wasn't even able to put up a fight, so he can't really feel too much pride there. I don't feel like I should give my high spot to Mil because even though he won, he still had to watch the woman that he loves make out with another guy who used to be her boyfriend, so that's awkward. So my high spot, and you already took Captain Vasquez, so I can't take her. I'm not going to say Katrina because, again, she kind of got exposed in front of Mil tonight. So really it comes down to my high spot is FBI Agent Winter. He was freaking awesome on this. It was a great performance from Godfrey, and he had one of the biggest, most amazing, shocking lines of the night talking about Pentagon's skin frying.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad you picked Winter. That's really what I was kind of hoping for, is I would pick Vasquez and you would pick Winter. To me, the 2 stars of the 2 cinematics tonight, because what I love about your Winter pick is he establishes his authority immediately. I'm Delgado's replacement. I hope you like me. And again, just everything felt so unnerving with everything he said.
I'm Delgado's replacement. And oh, by the way, I work for the FBI.
Exactly. So the Order literally has, some of the best resources in the country because they come from the FBI, one of the biggest institutions in the country. So, yeah, Winter is an excellent choice, dude. I love it. I'm down with it wholeheartedly. Again, this was one of my favorite episodes of season 3. I get now why every performer was saying, the latter half of season 3, that's where shit really starts to pop off. And boy, does it ever. What a fucking episode. Ashton, do you have any closing remarks before I take us home?
No, just take us home, brother. Let's just close it here before we nut.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a little late to the party. I'm glad you were able to keep it together. This has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. Now, very quickly, all of our Lucha Underground related content has been organized into playlists, and all the specific playlists are in the description. Particularly what I like is the All Lucha Underground Content Ever playlist. So if you loved our reactions to the 2 amazing cinematics tonight, that's going to be in that playlist. If you want to go all the way back, one of my favorite references to my Johnny Mundo world title markout, that's in the playlist. So for all of you Lucha Underground newbies or seasoned veterans that just can't get enough, all the playlists are in the description box for you. All of our media is in the description box, from our Twitters to the official TWitWoW Facebook page. And the last few things I want to plug, guys. First of all, the Teespring. We do have a new shirt out, Braun Strowman inspired. I'm not finished with you! And so if you want to tell somebody, or an obstacle or whatever is in your life, I'm not finished with you, you can do so now at the Teespring store. And if that's not really your style, we've still got plenty of other TWitWoW merch, including the iconic "Because He's a Father, Damn It" t-shirt as well as Scum Squad merch. So it's all available there on the Teespring. Last two things I want to plug, guys, the Patreon. Specifically, what I want to plug on the Patreon is the Discord. Discord is starting to get filled out very nicely. Got a lot more members now, and I want to see that membership grow. I think the Discord is incredible. And hey, guys, you're going to want to get in on it now because, and if you are in on it now, you get to be a part of, SummerSlam, G1 Finals, all those discussions. And if you are a little late to the party and you're like, I want to join for September, that's a great time too, because the way it's looking for the foreseeable future, we will not be doing SmackDown live reactions. We already announced that we're taking, the next few weeks off. If the Patreon goes back up, we'll do that. But if we don't, Discord beneficiaries still benefit because we'll do with SmackDown what we've been doing with Raw. So if you've enjoyed our musings on SmackDown in a live reactions format, you're going to want to get in on this. Also, as I always like to say, with the $3, if you stay a part of the Discord for 10 months, for example, that's $30. You can cash in your chips to a live reaction to a 3-hour show. So you're accumulating purchasing power, folks. It's a win-win-win. Last thing I want to plug, first and foremost, obviously, we have an NXT review coming at you later tonight. Beyond that, guys, Thursday, there's nothing. We got, no content coming Thursday. We'll be enjoying the first Falcons preseason game. But then Friday, it is A block finals. And really, it's just day 17 A block. It's going to be main evented by Tanahashi versus Naito. Winner takes the block. Saturday, B block finals. That's going to be main evented by Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. Omega must beat Okada if he wants to win the block, and he's got to do it in 30 minutes. He couldn't do it in 60, and he lost to Okada in 40 at Wrestle Kingdom. Can he get the job done? And then Sunday, we will be covering the entirety of the G1 Climax 27 finals. That includes tag matches, that includes any championship matches, and that, of course, includes the A block winner versus the B block winner, where winner takes all. So TWitWoW, even though we don't have anything tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are stacked out the ass. And again, we're not even done tonight. We'll be seeing you guys again for our NXT review, where my boy Andrade Cien Almas returns, and he's going to put a hurting on No Way Jose. And you're going to want to be there. Until then, guys, stay tuned.